The sea is powerful, a dark, merciless force that will swallow ships whole without a trace. And it's here, in these dark waters off the coast of Scotland, that we find the Flannan Isles, a group of 7 islands, sometimes referred to as the 7 Hunters. Remote, desolate, and home only to a lighthouse, the Eilean Mòr. But on one night in December 1900, the beacon from this lighthouse went dark. When a relief crew arrived 11 days later, they found no trace of the 3 men that had been stationed there. The interior of the lighthouse was as it should be, with oil lamps waiting to be lit and ashes in the grate of the fire. Only an untouched meal remained, and a mystery so chilling it still haunts the sea to this day. Eilean Mòr. The name means big island in Gaelic, but don't let that fool you. It's barely more than a craggy rock, a silent outpost in the middle of nowhere, hampered by wind and water. Stands a solitary lighthouse, completed just a year before, an isolated beacon where 3 men kept watch alone in this brutal landscape. James Duckett, the seasoned principal keeper, a man known of calm resolve. Thomas Marshall, the steady assistant, and Donald MacArthur, the occasional keeper, known for his fiery temper. These are 3 men that have been hardened by the elements, but what they faced on Eilean Mòr would break them in ways no one imagined possible. December the 15th, 1900. A streamer called the Retold cuts through the turbulent seas, but as the ship approaches the lighthouse, the crew notice something strange. The lighthouse and its guiding light stands dark. There's no movement. The captain reports this, but the mystery of the missing light would go uninvestigated for 11 long, silent days. On December the 26th, a relief vessel finally arrives, and it finds the island shrouded in silence. Again, no welcoming signal, no response to their calls. Joseph Moore, the relief keeper, goes ashore. He starts to investigate, alone. The lighthouse door creaks open under his hand, and inside he finds the impossible. The beds are left unmade. All the clocks have stopped. A meal sits untouched on the table, plates set, and still waiting for the men who would never return. There are 3 empty chairs, and the heavy, unshakable feeling that something unspeakable has happened here. Something that immediately raises eyebrows was the set of 2 missing oilskins, outdoor gear that the keepers donned. Only 1 set remains, and this set belongs to Donald MacArthur. This is presumed that Donald MacArthur must have gone outside in a ferocious storm in just his clothes. Now this is not only unheard of, but it's also illegal. One of the rules of the Northern Lighthouse Board was that 1 man must always remain inside the lighthouse. But no one is there to be seen. Looking for evidence, Moore finds the lighthouse logbook, and the last entries in this book are strange to say the least. It appears this logbook had started to be used more as a diary. The entry from December the 12th shows the first signs that something was going wrong. Thomas Marshall, the assistant keeper, writes of severe winds, the likes of which he had never seen before. The next entry, December the 13th, is stranger still. Marshall notes that James Duckett, normally so calm and composed, had become very quiet. And Donald MacArthur, that hardened soul, had been seen crying. What had they seen? MacArthur was a veteran mariner, with a reputation of being a hard man and a brawler. Thus, it would be very strange for him to be crying in response to a storm and high winds. Those log entries from December the 13th were said to have stated that the storm was still raging, and all three men had been praying for their safety. This was also puzzling, as all three men were experienced lighthouse keepers who knew that they were safe in a secure structure 150 feet above sea level. The final log entry is said to have been made on the 15th of December, stating, "The storm has ended, the sea is calm, God is over all." Locals had often whispered that these islands were cursed and haunted by dark forces. Had something drawn the men out from the safety of the lighthouse? What happened to Duckett, Marshall, and MacArthur? The investigators' first theory was almost too simple. A rogue wave, they said. The men had been swept away in a storm and lost to the merciless ocean. The following investigation carried out concluded that the two men must have been outside during the storm and were swept away by the waves. Donald MacArthur then ran out to their rescue, but was also swept away. But even the official investigation was mere speculation, as no proof to this story has ever appeared. It simply is as if the three men walked off the island, never to be seen again. On the islands, the men scoured every corner, looking for clues to the fate of the keepers. They found everything was intact at the east landing, but the west landing provided evidence. A box at 33 meters above sea level, 108 foot, had been broken and its contents strewn about. Iron railings were bent over. The iron railway by the path was wrenched out of its concrete, and a rock weighing more than a ton had been displaced. On top of the cliff, at more than 60 meters, 200 feet above sea level, turf had been ripped away as far as 10 meters from the cliff edge. There's clear evidence of foul weather, but there's one more detail that haunts this story. You see, other ships passing through this area reported something unsettling. They hadn't seen any storm at all, and no severe winds, or no torrential rain. They said the sea had been calm, and furthermore, there had been no reported storms in the area on the 12th, 13th and 14th of December. Adverse weather and epic winds did batter the area, but this was on the 20th of December, 5 days after the logbook reported the storms had passed. Now what could this mean? Had the men imagined it? Or worse, had something else entirely visited them, twisting their minds and filling them with a fear so deep they thought they could see and feel a storm? Some believe the isolation broke them, that their minds conjured up a storm, a descent into shared madness, or perhaps it wasn't madness at all. Locals have whispered the islands are cursed and haunted by dark forces. Perhaps here, in the dead of night, amid the howling winds, something called to the men and drew them out one by one from the safety of the lighthouse, only to disappear forever. Implausible stories around this case have pursued, such as sea serpents carrying the men away, that they had arranged for a ship to take them away and start new lives, that they had been abducted by foreign spies, or that they had met their fate through the presence of a boat filled with ghosts. Other theories place the blame on Donald MacArthur, the occasional keeper, who was known for brawling and known for having a fiery temper. Perhaps something did break out on the cliff edge, a brawl which cost all 3 men their lives. When the investigation ended, the Lighthouse Board put new safety protocols in place. Chains and ropes and anything to keep the keepers safe while near the cliff edge. But questions remain. Why did they leave the lighthouse? And who or what was waiting for them on the cliffs? Are the accounts of the logbook actually true? Why did they report such violent storms when it's confirmed the storms did not take place until at least the 20th of December? The evidence of damage on the island from adverse weather is 200 feet above sea level. Was this really a freak weather event? Or could it be something else? More than 100 years have passed, but some say the keeper's spirits remain trapped on the island. Visitors have reported an uneasy feeling, as if someone is watching. And others say that in the dead of night, if you listen closely, you can hear faint whispers on the wind, a calling from the cliffs, voices lost in the fog. The men are gone, but are not forgotten.